here today. The other feature that makes this cave unusual is indeed the complexity of it. 140 miles of cave, that's 225 kilometers, are known. All of it fits in this area, which is a square mile or 2.5 square kilometers. So there's lots of cave in a small area. And we will get a feel for this complexity as we travel our half-mile or 1 kilometer route today. As we travel this, look around you, look at all the holes that branch off and go somewhere else. We're going to pass hundreds of openings that could lead to more cave. We are about to see the biggest piece of Swiss cheese you ever saw, or the biggest kitchen sponge you ever saw. Literally the best way to describe the cave. Now, we're going to see less than 0.5% of that in the hour and 15 minutes that we're together. What we see is representative of the rest of the cave. Natural entrance into Wind Cave, the site of the discovery, and definitely not the way we're going in. Anybody was worried about that? No. Earlier today, still blowing in. Probably American Indians, Native Americans, were the first to find the cave. We think they knew of it first, finding it here, maybe hearing the wind, but they never went in. This was a sacred place, so there's no artwork or writing or anything like that. Have you ever seen a cave, a lot of you have been in caves before, ever see a cave that looks like this?
Never.
No. Wind Cave is really different because of this boxwork formation. What happened here to make this cave, in some respects, is like most caves in the world, but there's a lot of differences. Most caves in the world form in what kind of rock? Anybody know?
Limestone?
Okay, I think there is somebody say limestone. It is limestone.
Hey, I got
It's a
one.
limestone cave. A very bizarre chemistry occurred, and that's kind of the crucial part of the story. I'm not going to go into the deep chemistry, just say a very unusual chemistry occurred that produced tiny cracks within the limestone. These were eventually filled in with a crystal of limestone called calcite. Okay? You may want to, this light is shining this way, you guys can scoot, because I got you in a circle here. The calcite filled the cracks, hardened there, and that process stretched the rock layers and cracked them again. And we're now walking through that second set of cracks. This time, fresh water, groundwater came through the cracks, dissolved away some of the limestone to make passageways and rooms, the openings that we now see, and that we're now in. This is all formed by water. The water, though, did not flow. It stood still. We know there was no underground rivers here because we don't find mud and pebbles on the floor of the cave. No river deposits. The water just stood still. Think of an underground lake slowly dissolving away the limestone. And because it was slow to act, it worked its way through many little side cracks, dissolving out the complex Swiss cheese effect. And if you haven't noticed, as it looks, these are very delicate. People ask me this all the time. How fragile is that? How many people in this group can break a potato chip? There's a hand going up.
Yeah.
There's a big passageway here crossing the trail. So look both left and right as you pass me by, but then watch, you got steps going down.
What's this room area called?
Cathedral.
Oh, cathedral.
This room is the cathedral.
Yeah,
This one goes long distances, leads to many, many passageways. This one loops around to the right and comes back on itself.
Okay.
A lot of times people come through here and think that this cave is really dry. It is not an obviously drippy, wet cave. Now, it really isn't dry, it is damp and humid. But we don't get much dripping water. The main reason why we don't get that effect here is that above this layer of limestone, a sandstone bed tends to slow down the infiltration of water rather dramatically. That sandstone bed slows down the water so much that it basically oozes through tiny pores in the sandstone and then through the limestone, so that by the time it reaches the cave passageway, microscopic drops of water are sweating their way into the cave. More directly drip through the limestone and into the cave. For the past, 10 minutes or so, we've been walking underneath the valley. And when we leave the cave, you look off to the right, as you walk back to the visitor center building, you'll see the low area that we're under right now. Water can more easily drip through those lower areas. Water drips into the cave, you may get a drop on you, but you look around, you don't see any stalactites and stalagmites in this. We're down the equivalent of a 20-story building. This is 200 feet down. We're not nearly halfway down to the bottom. If we continue following the appropriate passageways in the direction we've been going, we could ultimately reach water table, the bottom of the cave. 500 feet down, 50-story building. So those pools and lakes do exist in the bottom of the cave. It takes cavers anywhere, depending upon their abilities, anywhere from 4 hours to 8 hours one way to crawl and climb all the way down to those lakes. Same distances we've walked, double the distances we have walked, or crawling and climbing. And then, of course, or crawling and climbing uphill to get back out. So it's a long and difficult journey to get down to see those pools of water. And we're going to skip that today. In 1903, Wind Cave was made a national park. And those folks who were involved realized that there was something special here. They realized that the boxwork, the complexity were unusual. And people predicted that this cave would be really long, and they were right about that.